Hello, everyone. I'm Adam Schaefer, president at Phelps United, and we're on a LinkedIn Live today. And the reason we're live is we're just back from Amazon Accelerate 2023, and we are incredibly excited about all the cool stuff that Amazon is coming out with and that we learned about. Some amazing things. It's an incredible seller conference, seller forum where I would say thousands. I'm not going to guess, but 2,000, 3,000. You may be the guys that are going to join me could give you a better number, but there were thousands of people there that are sellers on the platform and service providers on the platform. And we learned a heck of a lot that we want to share with you today. So let me introduce a couple of our team. We have one man down with COVID that went. We went with 4 people to the show, and we came back with 3. So that's not so bad. Anyway, Nikolai, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Nikolai Tonman, Vice President of E-commerce here at Phelps United. And to Adam's point earlier, there were over 4,000 attendees at the conference,
4,000.
mixed with 3 PE sellers and service providers. So it's definitely a good mix of all Amazon circumferenced brands and resellers.
And Mark?
I'm Mark Clifford, one of the senior brand managers here at Phelps United. And I mean, it was, I would say, a pretty great showing as far as how many people showed up to the Amazon Accelerate.
Mark, I saw you taking a lot of notes. I was really impressed. I mean, there was a lot to learn. And, if you break it down, you have this, discussion and announcements on logistics, and there was some pretty big ones there. Then there's more customer service and features and functionality on the platform. And then there's a bunch of marketing and advertising enhancements and features. So, maybe there was more, but those are the big 3 things that I kind of, focused on when I was there. And the first thing I want to talk about, which I think is the biggest of all the things that, they released and discussed, was Amazon supply chain. And what's amazing is that where it used to be that you started with, let me get my products and ship them up to FBA. Now it's, let me get my products from overseas, mostly Asia. Amazon will arrange pickup, bring the products into the country with their incredibly awesome logistics, services at a much cheaper price than you're going to most likely get from your own container services. And they're going to do less than container and full container, and they're going to bring it over into one of the ports. It could be West Coast, it could be East Coast ports, depending on what you organize. And then from there, they're going to get the products over to Amazon warehouse, which is another big deal. This is more of a bulk warehouse where you're going to be able to store your stuff so you don't have to keep it in a certain warehouse. And from Amazon's warehouse, they're going to, with automation, flow your products to FBA so you're never out of stock. So it's kind of an end-to-end solution that we're definitely going to go for. I mean, it's a no-brainer, I think. I think that at the beginning we're going to learn a little bit more about how to get any of the kinks out of there, but for us it's going to mean lower costs, less storage for us in our own warehouses, and more storage at the point of sale. So what did you guys get from that one? I thought it was just awesome.
Yeah, I think they made a point to make this the main talking point for their keynotes speaker on the first day. And Amazon's always had direct fulfillment where you can schedule containers to get dropped off at their DCs, but it's been riddled with issues from the beginning. And one of the biggest with the old program was the time frame within the inventory landing at their DCs. If it didn't land within the right time frame, they would reject the container, and you would have to find a means to offload that inventory. So this is all in one, all serviced by Amazon. They work with the manufacturers overseas, import it, control most logistics, if not all logistics, ranging from anything from replenishments to storage to distribution to the last mile delivery. And it's going to be impressive. It's a huge program that's going to take a lot of education and learning to learn, as you said, all the kinks in the program. But I think this is going to be the new means for FBA and FBM in the next 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, if you don't have to think about it, you can schedule your shipment with Amazon, and it's hands off from there. I mean, they'll clear it through customs and all the rest. I mean, what were your thoughts?
I mean, to Nikolai's point, I was kind of shocked that they're taking it end to end. So even from the seller's manufacturer, they'll work with the facilities, ship across borders, handle the customs clearance, transportation there and from, and do the restocking to FBA as well. I think I was taking some notes. Is during the kind of keynote speaker in the beginning, but Amazon Global Logistics is going to be handling the cross-border transportation starting in October. Amazon will enhance the service by offering pickup from sellers' manufacturing facilities. I think this is, and then sellers will still have the option to drop off goods at Amazon locations. So you can decide whether you want to send it to FBA or send it to your warehouse wherever you're located. I mean, they're adding more infrastructure to Eastern ports. They have, I think they're saying that they're trying to expand how many of the ports that you can ship into on the East Coast, which is incredible. So it's insane how much that they're trying to take over just from end to end.
Well, I think also they're getting lower costs when they come into the east and the west. This is a congestion issue too. So it's really cool, and I am glad you took those great notes, copious notes. So I'm pretty jazzed about it. I think we're going to start using it, and you have to understand why is logistics so sexy. I mean, that's where there's so much work, cost, planning, and if you don't have it in stock, you can't sell it, right? So making sure that your goods are coming in and you're getting the lowest cost, because one thing's for sure, freight has gone up, freight's not coming down, and I see Amazon really with this becoming a major 3PL in their own right in the U.S. They're going to be a great shipping service. So like, you might not want to, or you might not want to go with a UPS or a FedEx. You're going to be going with Amazon. So they're going to be taking it from Asia to the ports, from the ports to their big bulk hubs, and then they're going to flow it automatically to FBA, so you never have stock. I mean, just a winner.
Yeah, and I mean to that point, just like any other business that Amazon gets into, they are dominating the field. So what's going to be really interesting is seeing what's happening with the 3PLs that a lot of resellers and brands are using currently. And what's going to happen is their inventory going to dry up and they're going to drop their storage fees and try to be more competitive with Amazon. Or is it going to put a lot of these 3PLs out of business? And I think that's going to be a very big sign in the next 12 months on what's going to happen to that industry.
So, staying with that supply chain stuff, I mean, they talked about this full end-to-end solution, but then there's the Amazon warehouse itself. So where many people are using 3PLs to store their stuff and ship it to either their customer or to Amazon's FBA, Amazon wants to be your warehouse now, and they're saying that they're going to be able to do it at a much lower cost than most 3PLs. So just outside of this end-to-end, if you're US only, you're going to be able to not need your own warehouse and just ship it up to Amazon's bulk. And the beauty of being in their bulk warehouse is this connection to their FBA facility. So you don't have to keep it all at FBA. They don't want you to keep it all up at FBA. And for a lower cost, you'll be able to keep bulk. And with their AI and all their incredible automation and algorithms, they're going to make sure that your products don't go out of stock. So I think, super cool, not super sexy, but for those that care about logistics, it's pretty sexy. One other thing that was interesting that they were pushing it last year, but I think it's gotten better and better. And we're definitely taking a look at it, is their VQuo software. They acquired a company called VQuo that makes shipping software, and it's very much like a competitor to Starship and ShipStation and others like that. But what's interesting about VQuo is that VQuo is Amazon owned, so it's incredibly seamless with Amazon, and of course they're going to make it that way. But also, you're getting a 5% credit or 5% discount when you use that. So whatever the freight's going to be, you're going to get an additional 5%. I mean, I don't know if you got all that, Mark, but what were your thoughts on VQuo? I mean, we spent a little time with those guys.
Yeah, so I mean, Vico was probably one of the more interesting things as far as competitive pricing went when they were discussing how, because they rolled it out last year and they spoke about it a little bit last year, but we didn't really get too much of the notes or the key takeaways. And this year, though, that they blatantly said that they want to keep their pricing as competitive as possible. They will ensure that they have the most competitive price. And then on top of that, they're going to give you a 5% back on all of their shipping services as well. So I'm kind of curious how, I mean, as Nikolai mentioned on the supply chain side, I'm kind of curious how it's going to affect a lot of these other shipping services. Are they going to have to get more competitive on the pricing front? Will it kind of put a hindrance if we're using any of these old shipping services as well? So very interesting though, being the only partnered kind of shipping service.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not. It's like Apple. I mean, it's their ecosystem. It's their software. It's kind of connected. It makes life easier. Obviously, you can continue to use your other stuff, but it's hard to fight City Hall. Nikolai,
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
I think that's a good point. Last year, when we went to Accelerate in 2022, they announced that they were partnering with Veeqo, or they acquired it, and the integrations that they were going to introduce into the shipping software. And I think a lot of the talking points that we're going to hit today really mirror the advancements of what they spoke about a year ago. So what we're seeing is a lot of these programs advancing very quickly and benefiting sellers like ourselves. And this is one of the newest, being that 5% credit on top of the lowest freight rates within the industry. And right now, freight is everything, and that's where you're either winning or you're losing margin. And taking those rates in is everything to a small or large business.
Yeah, I mean, freight is definitely everything. I mean, it's a huge part outside of the cost of goods. In some cases, it's more than the cost of goods. So it's kind of, one of the most important things that we're always looking at anyway, and also the delivery promise to their customers. So moving over, so if logistics wasn't sexy enough for those, what I thought was pretty cool is Buy with Prime. I thought it was really cool last year, and I said, if I have my own direct-to-consumer site, I would do it in a heartbeat. But now Shopify is teamed up with Amazon, and Shopify is now a Buy with Prime provider. So what does that mean? That means that if you have a Shopify site, which millions of people do, sellers that are on Amazon, sellers that are not on Amazon yet, with Buy with Prime, a customer with an Amazon account could click on your Shopify site, and they'll be able to get the product and pay for the product and get the product within 1 to 2 days if it's a Prime product. So the products will show up as Prime on your site if it's eligible. And if it's eligible and it's sitting up at FBA, Amazon will ship it to your customer for you. And it'll be in a brown box or a non-Amazon box. And you could use Amazon as your 3PL. I mean, it's just awesome. Why would you want to have inventory all over the place if Amazon could ship it for you at their rates and get it to your customers? And you're going to be able to get more customers, because customers that were comfortable buying from Amazon, maybe not your site, now have the same comfort, the same customer service, the same delivery promise as if they were buying it from Amazon, but they're buying it from you. I mean, guys, what do you think? I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll
At
jump
the
in.
same time.
I know, competing with Nikolai, but I will say it was a pretty interesting walkout when the CEO of Shopify showed up. I mean, that's a powerhouse partnership between the two, because I know in the past with our Shopify sites, we've always had to use some sort of third-party integration to have our orders fulfilled by our Amazon stock, but we would have to pay the MCF fees or an additional fee just to ship from our FBA stock. But now that the two are just fully integrated with each other, I mean, that's huge for all smaller companies that are only D2C right now, or maybe they don't have the large traction on their D2C site, but they can start using this FBA stock and minimize, once again, their freight from trying to ship from their own warehouses as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a huge announcement. And to Mark's point, having one of the heads at Shopify walk out on stage and introduce this new program that they're doing, we see the benefit it has for both Shopify and Amazon. I'm still perplexed that Shopify is doing this, just because it's Amazon getting their hands in a completely new industry, and really expanding their reach dramatically by offering this to Shopify, which is the largest third-party individual brand-owned website program. So I think it's going to be another way for Amazon to expand their reach and really give customers that promise of Prime and guaranteed that their inventory is going to get delivered within a time frame. So overall, it's going to be a huge benefit to all resellers and all brands alike.
What was really cool is that, I mean, Amazon saying the initial results with Shopify is that 75% of the customers that are coming to the Shopify sites are new customers. So they're brand new customers to these direct to consumer sites, which is unbelievable. So it just opens up a new vein of customers for D2C sites. And next thing, it's definitely the comfort, the convenience, the fact that they're going to get the product fast. You know, all the things that you would get from Amazon, you're now going to get from your favorite direct to consumer site. So it takes the fear away. But 75% new customers. Remember, when you buy on Amazon, although they give you ways to market and talk to customers, when they buy from your own direct-to-consumer site, you own that customer. So this is a huge win for anybody on the Shopify platform. And it's got to be one of the reasons why. I keep on thinking, why wouldn't Amazon just buy Shopify at this point? And maybe maybe that's my prediction, or maybe the FTC would not let that happen. I have no idea. Probably not. But you know, they're getting closer. Okay. Any other comments on that? I thought it was cool.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting to see the integration in the next couple months. And they were mentioning something like a 17% lift in customer order at checkout. So it's going to be giving a lot of reassurance to customers that they're ordering from a safe location.
Okay. So now switching from that cool logistics and the buy with Prime stuff, tell us about some of that cool advertising and marketing stuff. I mean, you were looking pretty deeply at the AI listing that's coming out, where the ability to create listings with just an image. You seem to really get into that. So tell us more, because I thought it was cool, but you were all over it.
Yeah, so there's a few different things that Amazon introduced at Accelerate this year, all leading around the really hot topic being AI. And currently, what's loaded in 3P Seller, or in Seller Central, that's available for all 3Ps, is this new AI SEO generation tool. And it's focused on titles and bullets, where you're able to create Amazon compliant content, filtering in a lot of the SEO and organic search terms that you want to introduce into your listing. And then from there, you can expand it, redact anything that may be irrelevant. And it's based off of a short description on what you're assuming the product to be. And what I found very interesting, which they're going to start integrating in the next, they say the next 6 months, but we'll see how long it takes, is listing creation based off of imagery. And you can upload 1, 2, 3 different images of your product, and Amazon's going to generate everything from variation scheme to titles to bullets to product descriptions and potentially A+ content. And it's all through the help of AI. So we'll see what happens in the next 6 months when they start to introduce more of these features. But right now, I know our team here at Phelps United is all over the content generation, because it's giving us the opportunity to look at content in a new way and use Amazon's best practices to at least create the foundation of content. And then we have our SEO experts here go in and maximize the character count, maximize the content, making sure that everything is compliant to what the product is, rather than just what the SEO generation was created.
But are you saying, like, you just need a URL from the product and the AI will build the ASIN for you?
So that's something that we need to look into right now. The SEO generation is purely just content within the backend. So once a listing is created on Amazon, that's when you can go in and start enhancing all of the written content, not creation of a listing. But what they're claiming is through this imagery program with AI in the future, in the next 6 months, they're going to be able to actually generate product listings, whether it's linking from a Shopify website or image URL that you're submitting to Amazon to create the content.
I mean, it's amazing. Super cool.
It's
Cool.
going
And
to
then,
expedite so much. It's going to be very impressive if they can pull this off.
I mean, super. And then what about, you know, they talked about the experiments and the A/B testing. You know, I thought it was really cool. I know you guys have played around with it a little bit. So what's your thoughts on the enhancements they made to manage your experiments?
Mark, you want to hit this one?
Do it,
Yeah, I'll
Mark.
jump in
You
a little
got
bit.
this one.
I'll jump in a little bit. I know unfortunately, this is actually our one man down's breakout session that he was in. But as far as the managed experiments go, they're just providing a lot more opportunity for the A/B testing. And once again, the buzzword, they're jumping in with more AI that you can utilize for the managed experiments. And this is based off of the analytics that they're gaining while you have the experiments running, and kind of eliminating the very active portion of running experiments where you have to kind of go in and check how things are doing. You have to see what the analytics are. What are customers viewing more? What is your click through? Where's the conversion coming from on the A/B test? But with the managed experiment, you can kind of set these new parameters while you're running it, where as it's running, the AI is picking up all of the analytics for you, and it's going to start pushing out whatever experiment is performing the best. So you don't have to actively go in and say, okay, this is what's performing better. Let's click on this and move forward with whatever the experiment is for. So specifically, let's say for content, to Nikolai's point, if you had the new generated content and you want to see what SEOs can perform better, the new managed experiments will automatically push through the better performing experiment,
Yep.
and you don't even have to
Yeah.
go in to activate it, which is
I
incredible.
mean, that's what they're saying is basically it's automated. So depending on it's 10 weeks is, kind of like the test period. But if they have enough data and there's enough traffic to that ASIN in 1 week or 2 weeks, it's going to pick a winner and it's going to push it to your site. So you'll be going with the winner. And you could do pictures, you could do bullets, you could do copy. So, the AB or ABCD, you could do multiple pictures to test pictures. You just, you need to have some traffic to the ASINs for it to, to move along. But if you have some traffic to your ASIN, you're going to be able to really enhance it and optimize it. And wherever it's enhancing and picking a new picture or new copy, it's getting higher conversion rates. So it's definitely something that I think everybody should be doing. We're definitely going to be doing more of it, and I think it's super cool. So that's the manage your, your experiments. Any other comments from you on that, Nikolai?
No, I mean, Mark summed it up very well. I think it's going to allow resellers and brands to really experiment anything from different forms of images. I mean, the example that they were using on the conference was a brand selling razor blades, and they had just the packaging of the product, but then they also introduced the packaging plus the individual product silhouette on the main image. And by doing so, they saw over a 30% increase in sell through and conversion, which is dramatic. It's something that without A/B testing, you're taking a shot in the dark, hoping that you have the best performing conversion. And now it's allowing individuals like us the ability to really test, get the data, and act on the data in order to produce the best content available.
So again, super cool, loved it. And now switching over to more of a marketplace capability, and that is with Amazon. They give you the ability to be able to market your products in the countries that they're in pretty seamlessly. Once you leave North America, there's definitely more with regard to logistics and getting products overseas, and they've kind of figured that out too. But if you're in the US and you want to expand beyond the US, you could be selling in Canada, Mexico, and now Brazil. They opened up. So Brazil is an awesome market. It's not an easy market to go to unless you're there in person and have some presence there. But now with Amazon, you can get into the Brazilian market using your North American dashboard. Nikolai and Mark, what'd you get out of that one? I thought that was cool.
Yeah, so this is something we alluded to in a live in the past, and it was integration into Brazil through the North American remote fulfillment. And at the time, this was just in conversation, although it was confirmed it wasn't enrolled yet. But now they've introduced Brazil to the NARF program for select resellers, one of them being us. So we're one of a handful of allowed applicants to sell into Brazil. And we are going to be testing this a lot in the next couple months. And they said by the end of the year, it's going to be enrolled automatically for all brands selling on the 3P channel. And I think the biggest review that we're going to need to do is the application of electronics being sold in that country, as we have a lot of regulations just going through Canada and Mexico for what is compliant. So there's going to be a world of new compliancy issues that we have to dance around and make sure that our product is compliant. And if it is, we're going to have to go through and submit a lot of the certifications to prove that our products can be sold within these countries.
Yep, pretty cool. And Mark, you're selling in Canada today, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's just one of those things we try to take advantage of on the NARF side, is expanding that reach and expanding those incremental sales in these other marketplaces. I know for us, we see a lot come through on the Canada side through the NARF program. I know as well for quite a few products, we actually do ship directly into Canada and utilize their fulfillment centers as well. But the addition to Brazil, to Nikolai's point, I'm very curious on like the logistics side for what regulations that they're going to be enforcing for Brazil, just because they have their own regulations. We're shipping much farther from the US territory into an outside territory. I mean, Mexico itself expands very far down. There's already kind of a struggle there with certain electronics, but yeah, very curious to see what we can find in the next 2-3 months, as far as we start to open up to the Brazil side for the NARF
But
program.
I think what's great about the NARF program is like basically you got being in the US without even having to put product in Canada or Mexico. If you have the product up at FBA and it qualifies for the program, which it's kind of an automatic opt-in if your product will be accepted or not, all of a sudden you're selling in Canada and Mexico. They do the currency conversion, they do the translation if it's in Mexico, and it's just awesome. But when you find something that's doing well, because it takes a little bit of time when you're shipping from the US to Canada or Mexico, so there's a longer lag between when a customer orders it and they get it. But if you have good sales on something, it's a great way to figure out, should I actually try and stock it up there? And it'll convince you whether it's worth it or not to go put products and actually invest some in dollars in inventory in Canada or in Mexico, which is something we do today. It's really helped us pick some winners that we wind up stocking up there. And the things that don't sell as well, we just leave it on. And if people want it, they buy it, but we don't invest in inventory to put up in Canada.
That's
So
a great
pretty cool.
point. And one of the important things here is it allows you to A/B test a lot of inventory that is within your US catalog. And what we find very surprising a lot of the times is inventory that we put through the NARF program. Products that don't sell too phenomenally in the US will sell fantastic over the borders. And once we get that data, then we can make an educated decision to stock inventory in Canada or Mexico. And we see the statistics within our account, but one of the statistics that Amazon provided at the conference this year was adding inventory into Canada or Mexico's DCs and having it FBA within their territory gives a lift of over 8 times sell through. So it's really important to, if you're not in this program, get in the program, start testing your products, and then find the means to get inventory up into the designated countries. Once you get the data, once you start seeing the sell through, and use that sell through data to back your decision to make the investment to stock within those countries. So we'll see what happens. It's a great program. We've been using it since 2017. So it's a legacy program that Amazon continues to enhance. It continues to add in new services. And this is the first new country that we're seeing added into the program since the start of it. And there is rumors that they're introducing a second country into the NARC program outside of just Brazil within the near future. So we'll see what happens. We love the program. We advise all of our references, anybody that sells on Seller Central, to enroll, start testing your product, and really work to expand it into these other channels, because it's, at the end of the day, incremental sales. and it only helps everyone. Mark, you
And I
got
think you
any
might
other
mention it.
takeaways for that?
Well, I think you mentioned it already in the beginning when we were discussing it, but I think the barrier of entry for the NARF program is so low. I mean, Amazon is handling all of the difficult portion as far as you don't have to worry about the currency exchange on your end. You don't have to worry about setting up a new entity or bank account in any of these new countries. They kind of handle all the back end work. So to your point, it's everyone should be at least utilizing or applying to this program if they haven't already, just because it's incremental sales. But also, you don't have to handle any of the difficult accounting side as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have two other points that I wanted to shift into kind of off the NARF program. But one of them is being the Amazon advertising, something that they are introducing within the Seller Central app for Android and iOS is being able to access your advertising using the AI integration and then making changes on the fly or on the go through the app. Now, I'm a huge skeptic. I think that advertising is a very data heavy, data centric program within Amazon. I personally don't know how they're going to integrate the advertising functions within the app. But Mark, you're definitely our designated Amazon advertising expert here at Phelps United. So what's your takeaway? What's your opinion?
I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you as far as it's a cool feature to be able to view and at least see at like a high level what's happening with my advertising campaigns on the go. Because I mean, I know there's a lot of smaller sellers that maybe they just don't have the ability to sit and look at all the data day to day and they just have like the base campaigns running. So at a high level, it's nice. I think it's great that you can see it on the go. If you're traveling like us during the Accelerate conference, we couldn't be on our laptops for a majority of the time, and unless we're in like some of these breakout sessions. But I'm very curious on their functionality that they're trying to provide on the app. We'll see. We'll see. It's a cool
Right.
feature,
And
but I don't know how easy it would be.
Hi
yes.
guys. Those are
Hello.
the things
Maria.
that happen when we are live. So Adam, he just had a connection problem, so unfortunately he's not going to continue through this live. So we're going to wrap up with you too. I know you have provided a bunch of insights that our Amazon sellers that are watching us right now are getting all the juice from the conference. But Nikolai, just to wrap up, your main takeaway from everything that we have talked about it, or you guys have talked about it, what advice would you give an Amazon seller for those people that didn't go, or for the ones that maybe couldn't attend all the breakouts, and something that you think it's the number one thing? What would be? Too much?
No, we can do it.
Yeah,
So are we doing this with you joining?
no, we're live. We're live. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. So I think one of the I'll say exclusive information that we got with some of the Amazon reps at the Accelerate conference, something that wasn't necessarily a breakout session or an exclusive that they were providing to everyone, is Amazon Freight. This is something that I'm finding very fascinating, something I wanted to end the podcast discussing because we're absolutely going to need to do a follow-up on this topic. But Amazon Freight, they're moving in full force. And what they're doing is allowing brands or 3P sellers to ship product through their freight. And if you have a very consistent, regular flow of inventory going to any DC, you could schedule reoccurring FBA shipments where they have a planned driver coming, picking up the stock, and delivering it to Amazon's DC. Now that's very interesting. It's allowing us to be able to forecast our inventory based off lead time and receiving a lot quicker. But the other aspect of Amazon Freight, which I find, which I'm very excited about, is for brands that sell on multiple 3P seller accounts. It's allowing us the ability to commingle inventory onto pallets and do one long shipment that goes straight to any DC. And why that's fascinating is when we have to send a couple dozen units on one SKU for one storefront, it's going to cost us a fortune if it's bigger than a single parcel and needs to be on an LTL within a pallet. And from here, we can now pull inventory from our DC that's going on a different Seller Central account and add to the pallet to get delivered and received by Amazon at the designated Amazon DC. Now, this is going to save resellers, brands a ton of money, whether it's a parent company that owns 6 different brands and they all have their own individual entity. We can now start maximizing not just pallets, but entire containers to go to Amazon. So this is something that we will absolutely need to do a follow-up on in future live, but it's going to be changing a lot of fulfillment. It's going to be changing a lot of freight costs. And to the point we made earlier, freight is everything in our business. And anywhere where we can reduce and save or maximize efficiency, it's going to be very impactful for us.
I mean, it almost sounds outlandish. I think because you were the one that found out about that from one of your discussions with one of the reps. And I thought you were lying. I was like, that doesn't even make sense how they can manage that. But it just goes to show the advancements on, I guess, Amazon's distribution centers to be able to even handle that workload, especially if you have, like you said, 6 different seller accounts and then you're commingling the stock onto multiple pallets into a single container. But to your point, freight can make or break a company. So this is for us going to be a massive kind of turnover into our facility as well, and how we're going to have to work with our warehouse team to figure out how we can maximize this immediately. It's exciting. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Freight make or break. It's going to be our new Phelps United logo. All right. So yeah, we'll stay in touch. We'll keep providing updates as they come. Keep a lookout for our Phelps United LinkedIn, as we'll be publishing a lot of the content we've learned on the LinkedIn account. And we'll do any follow-up questions. We'll take any requests and make sure that we get you the information that we received. All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Maria. Adam, thanks for stopping by. And we'll join everyone on the next one.